Hi, I'm Michael Nadalin from Market Lead, and this is the third part of this mini series on metrics to look at in Google Ads, and this is on benchmarking. So the last two videos were the level one, what numbers to look at, which was the conversion data, and then level two was more the second tier of the data like clicks, impressions, CTR, cost, average CPC, and impression share. So this is really going in terms of benchmarking and what are the numbers you want to start going after. So going into this benchmarking, the level one, most important benchmarking. Let's just make this a bit smaller. Cost per conversion. Is my cost per conversion too high? That is the question I get asked a lot. And is this conversion rate too low? So this is where you can actually start to benchmark. These are the numbers I've used my whole career and I'll continue to use regardless of anything. But these are for search campaigns, lead generation search. It's very different from e-commerce and then even shopping campaigns. So the level one most important benchmarking, CTR, I always operate from a 4 to 15% CTR. Now, it's on the higher end for branded traffic, but for non-branded high intent traffic, I usually aim for around 6 to 10% in the CTR. Now, this really shows that I'm going after the right keywords with the right ads. After all these years, I know the keywords to go after, so it makes it really clear for me to set these benchmarks because I know when they are below this, there is something significantly wrong. Conversion rate is the other part for lead generation campaigns, especially when they go into landing pages. It might be different for websites, but especially landing pages, it should be operating from 5 to 20%. If it's ever lower than 5%, I know there's a significant issue. If it's higher than 20%, I know that I'm not going after enough traffic and I'm not getting enough traffic through to the website because that's probably a bit too high when I'm not getting enough traffic. Every other data point is dependent on the number of searches, so impression share and clicks, and or CPC. So whilst there are so many metrics on like what the CPC should be or what any other metric should be, CTR is a metric based on engagement, so what percentage of people see your ads and click through. So that's going to be quite linear. And then also conversion rate. Once people are through to the website, are they taking the right action? So those things are very clear. There are so many other things like how many people are going to be searching in my market, what my impression share should be. You can't benchmark that. That is so individual, even on an industry basis. So that's why you can always go after CTR and conversion rate for a pretty clear benchmark. Now, there's no answer to what is a good CPL. Now, people have their own idea of what a good CPL is, and this might be based on historical data, but the data does change over time. CPCs are rising, conversion rates might be dropping as well, so you never know. But the formula I always use, which is pretty simple, it's literally the cost per lead will be cost per click divided by conversion rate. And by doing this, if you know your average cost per click in your account, and then you've got a pretty reasonable conversion rate, once you actually divide that, so the cost per click is $10 and the conversion rate is 10%. $10 divided by 10% will equal 100. So that will be your cost per lead. Now, a lot of people, this is crazy. A lot of the times when I speak to companies, they always operate on the really high side of the conversion rate, even when their data does not suggest that they've ever done it or ever will do it. So I always operate on the really low end and go on the conservative side because it definitely means that when you do that and you've already got good benchmark cost per click data, you give a more reasonable cost per lead, and then in the future, if you get a better conversion rate, you exceed expectations. Never, ever, ever operate saying, oh, we'll get you a 15 to 20% conversion rate. That's just stupid. It's inappropriate. If you do that, you're actually bad at what you do because making that recommendation is actually just misleading clients and misleading your own team because I see it happen way too often, and then clients have poor expectations and then say they're burnt by agency. So always operate from a low conversion rate, no matter how well you think your landing pages will work, because you will mislead clients. And when the conversion rate does drop, because it does fluctuate, if you've set an expectation on a certain number and it drops from 20% to 10% for like 3 weeks, you've literally doubled the cost per lead consistently. So it's inappropriate to do that. So definitely set the benchmark much lower, around 5%. So when you exceed it, you're exceeding expectations. And if a client ever needs their data to be 10, 15, 20% plus, and that's the expectation, it's probably inappropriate to managing them, especially if it's 15 to 20%, because that number after all these years, no matter what agencies tell you, whatever they say, I pick up with their old accounts is they do not deliver it. So just go from the more conservative, realistic approach. It will make your life so much easier. So once again, CPC divided by conversion rate will give you an approximate cost per lead. So even when I said there is no answer to what a good CPL is, there's an answer to what a reasonable CPL is. So if you've got an industry benchmark on a cost per click and go to the keyword planner. Whatever the cost per click is, I'd add about 30% to it, and then I'll do a conversion rate of 5%. Now, the numbers might not look good, but then when you do explain it to the client that we'll be doing work to minimize the cost per click and see how we can get it lower. Also, at the same time, we'll be doing optimizations, going after high intent keywords, also going after like optimizing the landing page. That's when you can actually get the cost per lead down. The other part of it at the end of the day is cost per lead is such a relative inappropriate number to even go after, because the goal is to get the sale for the client. The goal is for them to get a client or a sale out of this. So the goal is to make sure you're getting the highest quality traffic. A client would be more happy to pay $200 for a lead than $100 for a lead, knowing that that lead will turn into a sale. So it doesn't matter what the cost per lead is, it matters what the outcome of that lead is. So once again, going after the benchmarks after this rant is CTR, a good number is around 4 to 15%, and conversion rate 5 to 20%. But realistically, I usually aim for about 5 to 10%, and that's really good. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Put them below. Like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy. Now, you know what time it is. I'll keep this short. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with the latest and greatest Google Ads and paid ad news. And lastly, it's your time to be number one. So Market Lead is now taking on new clients. So if you're serious about increasing sales, increasing customers, and more importantly, scaling your business, book in a strategy session with someone in my team and you'll get a free action plan. Just go to marketlead.com.au, go to the strategy session link, and then book it in there. So remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll keep this short. Enjoy.